up, guys? Purchased this MPG from Hobbytronics in Port Elizabeth, and I've read a lot of reviews about it, a lot of criticism that the people offer about it, saying that the steps is too slow, wara, things that they're complaining about. And I decided to take the try because it's worth it, because this MPG only has one connection, and that's with USB, and that can save you quite a lot of time doing a lot of troublesome wiring and things. And yeah, for future purposes it just makes sense. If you need to replace it ever, or whatever the situation is, you just need to plug it out of the USB, plug it back in, and I think from that perspective it is quite a good option. Then there is some configurations that is available for it on Linuxcnc that people has pre-configured it, and I've decided to use some of it. I tried the whole thing but wasn't happy with the way that it was working, so I'm going to work on something where this thing is going to be standard, where it can be copied and pasted and used in a practical manner in a practical CNC workshop environment professionally. So just to run you through a few functions, this MPG has got, as you can see there, it's got 18 buttons displayed on here. I'm going to run you through all these buttons to just explain what it all does, what each button does, and your selections, your power on button and so on that you will need. Just to also show you at the back, this is what it looks like on the back. It's made for Mach 3, but we got it right to get it to work beautifully with Linuxcnc. Okay. Just to also run through, this is a machine that we got for a customer, and we typically take an old machine that's got an outdated CNC controller and we retrofit it for them with the cheapest possible option is Linuxcnc. The software is open source, and the components, you're not limited to certain suppliers. From that perspective, it is a very good option for future. Alright, so to run you through some of the functions, I'm just going to enable the machine here by pressing F1, pause, then, so it's got the reset function here, which we use typically for enabling the emergency stop. Once it's enabled there, you cannot reset it from there. You got to go back to the computer for safety reasons, and you got to enable your emergency stop from there. Then to zero return your machine, or to reference return your machine, you simply press that button. That will take your machine back. This is just a simulation, but it will take your machine back to the 0 point. Now to set up your machine, you've got different options of how you would like to do it. Typically in a machine environment, you would want to jog it with the jog button to certain positions. So you can select your x-axis, you can select it at the jog speed that I've predefined there, and it will go at that speed there. If you want to increase your speed, as you can see there and over there, you increase your feed rate, and you can decrease it back again if you want to take it down to whatever speed you want, and that is for a cuttable option. If you want to increase your feed quickly, you can simply press the macro 1 button, and that will increase your feed to a faster position, and then as you can see, it will respond to your jog speed there. Alright, by pressing macro 1, it's just your fast jog speed rate adjustment. Okay, macro 2 is minus is it's going in your axis in the minus direction, macro 3 in a positive direction, in a plus direction. Then you can basically, let's just go to a quick position there. I'm going to go at 1000 millimeters per minute. Select the y-axis, go in the minus direction typically, or plus direction, sorry. And you go in the x-axis, go in the minus direction, the z-axis in the minus direction, and your x-axis can go a little bit to the left again. Okay, so if you want to set that up as your x0, okay, all that you have to do is press the X button and it changes your X to 0 on your G54 value. Your Y, if you're happy with the position where your Y axis is, you press your 0 there, and your Z, you press your 0 there again. And you can refresh your screen and your program has been, your work shift has been set up. And just to clear the graphics there, you can see there that it is in the 0 position where you wanted it to be. If you desire to jog your axis, I've got your increment selection, which is step, and over there you can see the step rate is changing. If you want to go at 10 microns increments, press it again, you go at 100 micron increments, as you can see there. And what's very nice about this is you've got the work shift coordinate over there, you've got your machine coordinate over there. So if you want to take this MPG with you, this cord is about 2 or 3 meters long. You can go on a big machine and you can go right up to your tool and you can see exactly your position on this thing. You can set up your whole machine by just using your MPG. I've made a display here for myself to display the increments for 1 micron, 10 micron and 100 micron increments. In a practical machine environment, you don't really want to go for 1 millimeter increments, because you'll simply just, some stage or another, you're going to break a tool. I've also made a display here for myself to show the operator which axis I'm in. Okay. So then another function that I've built into this one now is mode selection. This button over here changes it between MDI and manual mode. I think it's something that's just quite handy. And the function, the way that it worked before, I wasn't too happy about it. That's why I changed it around a little bit. And I think there's still a better way to improve this to work. But for now, this is what I'm going to be using to toggle the mode selections. The step increments, we've worked through that, change your increments. And then you've got, if you change it over there to your spindle selection over there, you can actually see on the screen how you're changing the spindle increments by simply jogging the wheel. And you can also see it over there by the overrides, how that it is changing. So you've got your spindle increments that you can select over there, and you've got your feed increment, your feed override increment that you can select there, and you can also see here on the screen that it's changing at the same time that I'm changing this. It's changing the feed override over there, and the same with the spindle override and the feed override. Then another function that is quite practical is if I've got it on the feed override, if I select it on the feed override and I press the macro 6 button, you can see over here, by pressing the macro 6 button, I change it to rapid override, and if you view the screen over there, it also changes your rapid override, positive and negative, how you are jogging it. And then keeping it in your feed selection over there, and by pressing the macro 7 button, you can see there it changes to maximum velocity override, and view there on the screen, it also changes your maximum velocity by jogging your wheel up and down. So I've also integrated that spindle button over there to start the spindle at 1000 RPM. That is predefined in my ini file with the MDI command. Every time I press it, you'll see that the spindle is starting, and then changing the spindle speed is quite easy. You can just put it on the spindle speed override, and you can change the spindle speed. As you can see there, I'm changing my spindle speed faster and slower. Alright. And what you can also see here is if you are on your jog mode, you press the Save Z button over there, it will take the Z axis to the 0 position. Now, as you can see, our rapid override is all the way down, so which is quite nice. So we can press the macro 6 button and we can increase our rapid override, and it will go all the way to where it needs to go. Alright. Okay. So that is the Save Z button. You can use that usually in a practical way. If you want to do a tool change, instead of jogging the Z axis up, you can just press your Save Z button and it will go to the Z0 position where it's safe to do a tool change. Then the next function that you have here is if you want to maybe, for instance, load a new job on your machine and you want to jog your axis to be in the middle of the table, you can select your X axis and you can press the half button, and that will jog your X axis to half of the table. You can do the same as well for your Y axis and take that to the half of the table, and it will jog your machine to the half of the table, and then it's a more favorable position where you want to load your job, most likely, or whatever the function is. You can predefine it to do whatever you want it to do in the ini file. Then, if you want to select each axis, if you want to, let's say, going back to jogging your machine, let's say you want to set your X axis to the minus, your Y axis is happy where it is, your Z axis you want to go minus, you're happy with that position, maybe a little bit more to that side. You can set up your X to 0 there, Y 0 there, and Z 0 there. Refresh your screen, makes the necessary changes that you wanted to do, and that is your Z button over there. And you've got your probe. You can use a probe on the machine as well, which you will have to program. Then starting and stopping a program by pressing the start button over there, you're going to start your program. It's going to run. You can pause it again by pressing it again. You can step it by pressing the rewind button to go a single block at a time, and if you're happy that your program is right, you can press the resume button again. It will continue running the machine, and you can press the stop button to stop your program. Alright guys, so from my point of view, this is a good option. It's only a USB connection. You can copy and paste your configuration, all the software that you've developed to make this thing work the way you want it to work. You can use the existing files that they've got for it, if that makes you happy and if it's easier for you. But from a practical point of view, if you wanted to customize it, it's also fully customizable. You can basically jog it to your machine, and you can do with it whatever you want. You can see the positions, you can set up your axis 0 positions if you want it there, and from that point of view I think it's a no-brainer. This is an awesome product. Well done, guys.